Guys, it's Annie. I'm here today doing a restock of our Reboot face mask. I made this soap recently, and I realized I don't know how long this has been out of stock, but I need to make more of the mask here. Now, this mask has our Reboot blend of essential oils that I blend, which is peppermint, spearmint, wintergreen, eucalyptus, and a little bit of orange and lemon. It's got the activated charcoal. This mask also has some sea clay and some rosemary powder. It's really great for oily skin, acne, anybody with sensitivities, but also with some skin problems as well, because it's going to be gentle, but also effective. I've got my liquid phase on the stove melting. I'm going to add out my dry ingredients here. The main base of the dry ingredients is white kale and clay. So I'm going to scoop this out here. Everything, all my equipment that I'm using, everything that's going to be touching the ingredients of this mask has been sterilized, or rather disinfected, I think is the proper term, because there is water-based liquids in a face mask, and we don't want any sort of microbial, mold growth, anything yucky like that. Scoop all this out here until we get the right amount. Mostly the white kale and clay here because it's gentle. It is going to help with oily skin, but it's not going to be too drying or irritating. It's a really nice, soft, silky ingredient for a face mask. The things we add to it are what makes it special. Just scoop it away till we make weight. This is my own original recipe. When I'm formulating a mask recipe, I tend to have a few things going on with it, but in general, it's equal powders to liquids in the end there, within just a couple of points of an ounce. So the main powder that we're doing in this recipe is the kale and clay. The main liquid in this recipe is witch hazel. Witch hazel is a liquid distilled from the witch hazel tree or shrub, and it's very clarifying to the skin. It can help with broken capillaries and redness, any sort of minor abrasions, or if you have really bad acne and it's painful and open, then this will help to heal the skin there. I really love to use witch hazel. And that's what's on the stove with our unrefined hemp seed oil, because it's one of the driest oils, great for acne-prone skin. It absorbs really nicely. And the emulsifying wax. You do need to emulsify the liquid, the witch hazel, and the oils together. It also helps to keep the powders together for a smooth mask that's going to be shelf stable. This here is my rosemary powder, very high in antioxidants, and it's going to be great for any sort of troubled skin. I'm going to scoop out what we need of that into my scale here. I'm going to weigh out my activated charcoal last. If you happen to see my Reboot soap making video, I talk a little bit about how activated charcoal is very messy and hard to clean up, so I don't want to gunk up my utensils until the very end with that. Now I'm adding my sea clay. Sea clay is super high in minerals, great for the skin, helps to draw stuff out of the pores but without being really harsh. Alright, charcoal time. Here's one of my containers of activated charcoal. Very airborne. You can see how it sticks to my spatula. I mean, the other stuff is stuck too, but I'll show you in a minute how this really is sticky. Stickiness is what works about it, though. It's going to stick to any sort of impurities or bacteria in your pores or on your skin and really help to just wash that away. I love this face mask because the mintiness of the oils give it that cooling, tingling, and tightening effect. I think they work hand in hand with the drawing agents and everything about this mask that helps to clarify your pores. A little bit more of a scoop here. There we go. I want to show you here just quite how sticky this stuff is. It's really on my spatula. I'm going to be using this end of my spatula for the rest of the mixing. Those are all of my dry ingredients there. Give it a stir. Get my scale out of the way. Made a little bit of a kaolin mess, but don't worry about that. My whole entire surface area, my table, every single utensil that I'm using has been disinfected. Some people disinfect with a bleach and water solution. They dip everything and wipe everything down with that. Some people do the same with like an alcohol and water. I used to do that, but I found that if you get those Clorox or like Lysol disinfecting wipes, that's the easiest way for me to do it, and they are going to be just as effective. It kills all the surface bacteria and gets everything absolutely ready for when you're going to be introducing these water-based ingredients. I want it to be shelf stable. I wouldn't want to sell anything that's got the potential for mold growth. And speaking of that, we do use a preservative in all of our emulsions and water-based face products and body products here. I use a preservative called Optifin Plus. It is paraben free, it is formaldehyde free, and it is broad spectrum protection. It's very, very effective. I've never had any issues with my masks or lotions or anything going rancid or funky or moldy or any kind of gross. It's never happened. I love the Optifin Plus. Okay. That's all combined. We are almost ready with our liquids. Now, I did discover today that my thermometer's battery has died. Luckily, I've made this enough where I know kind of by looking at it when it's reached temperature. My Optifin Plus and my essential oils here, I add at the last minute. You want to add these below 176 degrees. Now, I know from looking at my mixture here that it's going to be the correct temperature. We're actually going to add this after it's blended. It'll be cooled down, but I know when this mixture is ready, when it's going to have some steam to it and everything's melted. I'm going to pull my camera and take a look at that here on my brand new hookup stove. We have enough room for my cord. Okay, so here's this. Give it a stir. Let me see if I can pull you a little bit closer. Nice green tone to my hemp seed oil is what you see there. Sorry about that jiggityness. I should have thought that through. You can see it's steaming nicely. I heat everything up in a double boiler. I don't want to scorch any of my ingredients. All of my emulsifying wax chips are melted. So we're going to start adding it in. Got my stick blender ready. I'm going to turn the stove off. And we're going to get started. Okay. Pour this in. Some people choose to melt and heat up their water-based liquids and their wax and oil-based liquids separately. I have found that it makes no difference if I do it separately or if I do it together. So you know what? There's such a small amount of oil-based additives in this mask, because it is mostly the witch hazel, that just to heat up that tiny little amount separately just didn't make sense if it didn't make a difference for me. So I heat it all up together. Alright. It's all in my bin here. I'm going to get to blending. Make sure I edit out the sound so it's not loud for you guys. So let me get going. do have some splatter in this container. I'm getting all over the place. Usually I would use one of my beakers, but I find that then I end up with dry pockets of clay at the bottom. You don't want that. So I use this wider container, and because it's wide and shallow comparatively, it's a little bit messy. That's okay. Blend it together really nicely. I'm going to give it more of a blend before we go ahead and add our preservative and our essential oils. Quite hot still, it's still steaming. I'm going to go ahead and let this cool down before I add the essential oils and the preservative, because I don't want it to be too hot and to affect its the way that it's going to work. So I'm going to wipe up my area in the meantime here. Alright, I've waited close to 5 minutes here to let this cool down enough to add the preservative and the essential oils. It's a little bit thicker, as you can see, and it's not quite steaming hot, which is good. Now, if you were prepared, unlike I am, you would be testing this with your thermometer. 176 or below is what you are looking for with this. Now, it's kind of a do as I say, not as I do. I've made this enough to know what I'm looking for temperature-wise. But it is important that you have it cool enough before you add your essential oils and, most importantly, your preservative. And before we even add that, the rosemary powder, the witch hazel in particular, is smelling really good. I like the smell of witch hazel, and rosemary is, of course, amazing. So I have these minty oils here. It's going to be extra refreshing and uplifting. Put those in. We are all emulsified here and everything is ready to go. Clean off my stick blender a little bit here. Get this jarred up. This is a pretty small batch, as you can see, because it is water-based. There is a preservative. I don't like to make a huge batch of it because I want to make sure that it's going to sell while it's still pretty fresh. This is a kind of product that after it's opened, I do use little sealers on the inside of my jars. After you open it and you start sticking your fingers in it and everything, you want to give it probably 3 to 6 months to use it all. Should be no problem if you're using it regularly to finish it in that amount of time. When this cools completely as well, it's going to be really much thicker than this too. I'm going to attach some photos at the end of this video to show you what it looks like all pretty in the jar. Thank you so much for watching. This was our Reboot mask for oily and acne-prone skin. The Reboot Essential Oil Blend, which again is peppermint, wintergreen, spearmint, eucalyptus, and a little bit of lemon and orange. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a good one.